Hello, sports fan. This is Stephen Hill for Sports Choice Plus. I'm bringing you a very special breakdown. I'm going to be covering the tiers in the Eastern Conference of the NBA. Before I get right into that, I want to make sure that you're subscribed to the YouTube channel so you can know all the updates and all the breakdowns. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Looking at the tiers, there are 6 tiers in the Eastern Conference since the NBA Finals have happened, since the trade, since the free agency, and also since the draft. I'm going to give you the 6 tiers and the teams that are all in those tiers of what I expect going into next season. The 3 teams that I'm about to name right now have no chance of winning the NBA title, and I expect them to be lottery bound. The Charlotte Hornets, the Washington Wizards, and the Brooklyn Nets. All 3 of these teams have young players on them. They have young guys, some stars potentially, and you got to think, other than Charlotte that has Brandon Miller and it has LaMelo Ball, I don't see them having like star power potential that could possibly drag out anything to get them out of the lottery. Washington is compounding some veterans, and they are compounding picks, so they can essentially put together a deal to either move up and trade and go get someone or either draft someone. I see what they're doing. But those are the 3 teams that are in Tier 6. The next 3 teams are in Tier 5. This is the play-in tournament tier. This is teams that are not really great, they're not really bad, but they're not really lottery either. The Toronto Raptors, I don't know their direction. They have a lot of different players on their team. I can see them being a team that buys at the actual trade deadline to try to get up further in the East during a year that the Eastern Conference is not as strong. Next, the Chicago Bulls. There's no real direction here. They've given up a lot of guys like DeRozan, like Ball, like Zach LaVine. They've cleared out the decks, and then now they have Josh Giddey. There's a question of, okay, what's the direction after Josh Giddey and White? But they don't really have a superstar. They don't really have a guy to say, okay, well, for the next 10 years, we're going to hang our hat on this guy. So they're going to be play-in bound. Miami Heat, they're the only ones that I see in this tier that have an opportunity to move up out the tier because Pat Riley is still making moves. Yes, they did get Norman Powell. Yes, they do have a couple of guys that get some of those. They got Kevin Love off the books, and they also got Kyle Anderson off the books. Now you have Tyler Herro and Bam Adebayo with Norman Powell. So they potentially could still make moves to go get a couple of different pieces or either make trades or either deals with those draft picks. So I feel like they have a shot to move up. But both the other teams, I don't see them. Coming in at number 4, the Indiana Pacers. They're caught in limbo because they lost Miles Turner. They don't have Tyrese Halliburton this season. And they're essentially going to be stuck in that little limbo where they're in the middle because next season is going to be up in the air. They've already said Tyrese Halliburton is not going to be playing, so it's going to be a season probably wasted. And the Pacers just have to ask themselves, what's the next direction, because they're in a different middle feeling ground. We're going to go to Tier 3. These are long shots. The Boston Celtics are in this tier. Because they lost their star, Jason Tatum, I know they still have Jaylen Brown. They still have a couple of pieces like Derek White. They still have Anthony Simons. But you got to just ask yourself, how confident are you in this bunch that the Celtics are going to do something? How confident are you that they're going to bounce back without Tatum and actually do something this season? I'm not. Even though they got Jaylen Brown, the $300 million man, I still don't believe it. The Detroit Pistons, as good as they are, they took a step back. Cade Cunningham is what it is. I think that, they didn't pick up anybody significant. I know they got Duncan Robinson, but he's not pushing the scale or pushing the needles to where they're going to be that much more of a better team. And the Milwaukee Bucks. The Milwaukee Bucks do have Giannis Antetokounmpo. They do have Miles Turner. They did get their guys back. They have Kevin Porter Jr. as their leader, as point guard. You got to think, Bobby Portis. This is a place where I feel like Chris Paul could sign cheap and possibly help them maneuver through the season and possibly get them up out of this tier. But I think if they don't really sign valuable free agents that are veterans, they're not going to be able to get up out of here. I feel like age and just the location of where they are, people don't want to go play in Milwaukee. It is what it is. It still baffles me why they just waived Dame Lillard. It doesn't make sense to me why they did it, and it's crazy. Coming in into Tier 2, this is the tier where teams are on the cusp of actually breaking into the top tier. When you're thinking about the Eastern Conference and you're thinking about how the Boston Celtics are down and other teams are down, these teams could possibly make a charge and make a push to possibly get into that top tier. We're going to start with the Orlando Magic. Them getting rid of Kentavious Caldwell-Pope was a great thing, and Cole Anthony for Desmond Bane, because they got a proven guy versus guys that are not really showing up. You got PB5, you got Franz Wagner and Jalen Suggs. You got those guys under contract for the foreseeable future. You've got them locked up on great deals and contracts. So at this point in time, I think the Orlando Magic can actually grow. They can actually grow this unit. If they can stay healthy, the Orlando Magic could end up being the 1, 2, or the 3 seed in the NBA playoffs. And you know what that means? That means a young team is essentially going to be on the rise, and they'll be able to build themselves like the Boston Celtics did, like the Golden State Warriors did. They're growing organically from inside for the most part. And I feel like Orlando has the spark, they have the pieces, they have the bench, and they're starting to build perimeter shooting and perimeter defense. The next team up I see is the Philadelphia 76ers. Yes, the Sixers are challenging because you don't know where Joel Embiid's knee is going to be, but you got to think they're putting talent together. When you think about just what Paul George can do if he's healthy, Quentin Grimes, you got VJ that they just drafted, Jared McCain, Tyrese Maxey, they have guys all over the place and they have solid contributors. If they can get these guys to just be solid, play solid minutes, play together and be healthy, the Sixers can be a top seed in the East. It's not hard to do and it's not hard to beat because you got to think, the Boston Celtics are not there. Yes, they're going to have to battle with the Knicks. Yes, they're going to have to battle with other teams. But I think about this from the standpoint of if you can win half your games versus Cleveland, you can win half your games versus the Knicks, that's half the battle. Playing against the East where the East is down this year, where you can take advantage of teams like Toronto and company, I feel like they can do that. There's a lot of easy wins built in on their schedule with or without Joel Embiid, with or without Paul George. They still have a good team, good young team. You look at their roster on paper, it's definitely good. The next team, well, the last team on this tier, and in the same vein, they've leveled up this offseason and made great plays. When you look at them getting Alexander Walker, Luke Kennard, when you think of them getting Porzingis from Boston, them already having Dyson Daniels and Trae Young, them already having some of the best core pieces on the East already, I'm looking at the Atlanta Hawks. I look at the Atlanta Hawks and say, okay, they have a bench, they have starting, they have shooting, they're getting defense, they're getting size and depth in the middle. This is their time to strike. If there was no other time to strike, it's now. So I think the Atlanta Hawks have more size, they have more shooting, and they've definitely got protected picks. That literally, when you're trading different draft spots, you're trading different areas, you're like, okay, we're building, and they're finding solid free agency picks. I feel like they hit a home run this offseason, and I think that they're going to be challenging some of the top tiers in the NBA this season because of that. And this is the last tier. This is the very top tier. This is the tier I like to call anything short than the NBA Finals is a failure. I have two teams that's here. The first team is the New York Knicks. The Indiana Pacers exposed a lot of weaknesses for the New York Knicks. When you think about just the fact that Miles Turner was able to do what he was able to do, Karl Anthony Towns and company did not protect the basket. They did not rebound well. And you got to think, if they had a healthy Boston team, Boston may have put them out earlier. So yes, when Tatum went down, yes, that helped them, allowed them to eliminate the Boston Celtics. But I think that when you're overall looking at what this team did, it upgraded this offseason. They got Jordan Clarkson, they got the guy from Philly. They literally got pieces that are coming off the bench that are going to be serviceable bench players for them. That's what they needed because they're top heavy with their guys. They need to upgrade the offense in which they play in, but that's a whole nother conversation for another day. But I think the expectations for the New York Knicks is to not only make the playoffs, but to make the NBA Finals, not just the Eastern Conference Finals, but to actually be in the game where they can actually try to win an NBA title. With Boston down, with all these other teams down, I think they have an opportunity to do it. And the last team is Cleveland. Let's be clear. Getting Lonzo Ball, having Darius Garland heal from toe surgery, having Evan Mobley, having Jared Allen, having Donovan Mitchell, these guys need to win a title. If nothing else, this has been as good as the Cleveland Cavaliers have been since LeBron left. There's no excuse for them not to make it out the East. And you got to think, with all this talent that they have, all this luxury cap money that they're spending, all the pieces that they've acquired, you want to see the NBA Finals in their future. And I think that because they were so dominant during the regular season, it was disappointing to see them get put out the playoffs like they got put out. So it was a rude awakening, and it was a real awakening for some. But the Cleveland Cavaliers have a lot of decisions to make. And next season, they're going to have to think about breaking up this team if they can't get to the NBA Finals. So, all you NBA fans, Eastern Conference, Western Conference, get in the comment section below. What do you think about my tiers? What do you think about the teams that I have? And we'll see you on the very next episode.